All right, everybody. It is just a few days now before the Screen Actors Guild Awards. So, um, I don't think there's way too many changes I have here from the last time we talked about it here in the last video for who wins here at SAG. Um, yeah, so I'll go ahead and just go down the categories here, and we'll kind of just talk through them one more time, and and we'll kind of leave it at that. But it's kind of strange because I think there was actually more to talk about last time than I thought there would be with these, and I think some of these categories, there's one or two that I feel pretty good on, but then there's a few where it's like, wow, there's a lot of actually four potential winners in both the ensemble categories. There's actually I'm looking at four potential winners for both categories because it could be that tight a race. So we'll start with the stunt ensemble category. No Time to Die seems to be the favorite here. I'm going to keep it out front, and I think I'm not going to change on that. And I it's funny because I actually have Black Widow in second place, and a lot of people are not very high on that one. I don't know. Maybe I was just thinking, okay, well, the first two Wonder Woman films both won the ensemble category and stuff, so they might tend to like some more female heavy stunt ensembles there. So I was like, well, maybe. And Black Widow, I would say the reception level on that is, I don't want to say the equivalent to Wonder Woman 1984, but in a way where it's like, yeah, it was a big deal when it came out, and after it was over, yeah, some people still like it. I think, if anything, Black Widow probably has a little bit better of a critical and audience reception than Wonder Woman 84. But, yeah, it just generally, it's like, yeah, that one kind of came and went, but it's still, still got nominated here and everything. I think Dune, a lot of people like Dune here in this category because it is the only Best Picture nominee. It's the only one that really, other than No Time to Die, which did a couple, did okay at a few guilds, Dune was the only one that was pretty consistent across the board there, if we're making that comparison. But no, I have it in third place. I'm reminded of films like Dunkirk not winning here. Both The Joker and, I shouldn't say The Joker, just Joker and The Irishman were both Best Picture nominees. They lost the ensemble category. Trials of Chicago 7 last year couldn't win in that category. Obviously, those last couple examples, yeah, they weren't expected to win by any means. But sometimes those highbrow films really don't do well in the ensemble category. The only exception I can think of immediately would be like Black Panther, which, arguably that was the one, I believe I had it winning that year, so it was like, okay, it would make sense, Then again, it does have to be said, that a lot of comic book films have done pretty well here in the last few years. So actually, the one, and I have to say, I believe I did have Wonder Woman 1984 in fourth place last year in this category. The one I have in fourth place is actually Shang-Chi. And I don't know, some people made the point, what if Shang-Chi is our surprise winner here? It could be. It could be. It's, again, it's an ensemble of stunt performers. I would imagine most of them are actually Asian or Asian American. Which is, again, aside from the obvious kind of kung fu type roles that you'll see in a lot of action movies, they don't always get the best representation on screen. They don't always get the most representation, I should say. So with this one, it's like, okay, there's a lot of highlights for this one. There's great, and this one, I think, other than, well, I don't know, this one and Spider-Man for the two best Marvel movies of this last year, these two kind of fight it out for me. I think both of them were very, very excellent. Especially, in terms of Marvel films, I would say they probably are, if they're not in my top 10 personally, they're in that range for me personally. So with this one, though, I'm like, yeah, I just remember the action scenes, like, the stuff on the bus, the kind of the first big action scene there. There's the rooftop, like, bamboo structure, on the side of the building fight. And that's not even including the end battles and all that stuff. So yeah, and as they get into the later stuff, yeah, that's when some of the more visual effects take over and stuff, and it's less hand to hand stuff, less on camera stuff. So I think there's a big argument there where I look at it, I'm like, I have that in fourth? I don't know. I just think in terms of what this has kind of gone to lately, I would say fourth is probably actually where I would correctly rank it for myself. But again, I'm just going to give that caveat. That was the one I had in fourth place last year, and that one won. So if it does it again, then whatever I think is initially in fourth place, I'll bump up next year. No, I'm not going to remember that. But no, No Time to Die is going to be my pick here. In supporting actress, I think this is a quick Ariana DeBose. She's really, ever since she started winning some of those critics' prizes and then capitalized on it at the first, even though it wasn't televised, the Golden Globes, after that win, I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see that happening. Obviously, and this one and Licorice Pizza, actually, somebody leaked it or something, so I'm like, okay, if I have to see it that way, I will. I would prefer to see it in the theater, and I believe it is still playing. So, just time-wise for me, it's been very, very rough lately. We've been busy at work, and I'm actually, this might be one of the last videos you actually see with this environment. I'm actually getting a different place here in a week from tomorrow. So I'm going to be moving a lot of stuff around and everything too. So definitely I'm going to be busy here over the next few weeks. So yeah, it's going to be tight, very tight window to see these last two movies. So I know it's been a busy kind of season here. So I'm it's like I feel like Nightmare Alley when I went back to see that one in theater. It was like that one was like, okay, if I don't see it now, I'm not going to see it, kind of deal. Which I was glad I ended up seeing it because I liked it, and then it's also ended up being a Best Picture nominee. Anyways, regardless. With Ariana DeBose, yeah, this one, I feel like this might be the one acting category where it feels like, okay, it feels pretty cemented. Now, some people are going to say supporting actor. Some people are still going to be on that with Best Actor as well. But I have to say, for this one, I think supporting actress, I would even bump ahead of Cody Smith-McPhee, potentially Will Smith, as your kind of early locks in these acting categories. Yeah. I just don't really see any of the other ones getting in over her. Okay, for supporting actor, I'm not gonna, as much as I personally would like to see, because I like the performance, I would maybe not much better, but Troy Kotsur I thought was superior with his performance. I think in Coda. I would love to see that happen, not just because he is a deaf actor, which is it'd be great to see that happen too. And it would make the great headlines and everything, and they'd all, I'm sure, feel happy about it. And I think he is the better performer, definitely. Performance, I don't know about performer, because that's, okay, Cody's young in his career. It's hard to make that comparison when this is probably, for a lot of people, this is going to be, especially awards-wise, this is the first performance they're going to see out of either actor. So it's, not really a fair comparison there. But still, the fact that Power of the Dog was not an ensemble, I just don't see that one going 0 for 3. So I if it's going to win anywhere, I think by default, I think it is supporting actor. And I think the chances then are going to very much diminish, I think, from anyone else winning this category the rest of the way, because Critics' Choice, I don't really see a reason for them to stray away when they eventually air. I believe, do they have a set, like they've actually set it as March 15th or whatever? I don't know. I haven't heard anything else about it. But no, I don't know. I just don't see BAFTA going with or not going with Cody Smith-McPhee, because Power of the Dog, again, I think overall is going to definitely appeal more to their sensibilities, the way that Nomadland did, the way that Roma did. It's like, I don't know. It's just a feeling I have on that one too. So as much as I would love to call the upset and be correct on it, I got to go Cody Smith-McPhee. I don't really see a solid place otherwise for Power of the Dog to win, where it's going to be in a more likely position. Because supporting actress, that's going to be a pretty big upset. An actor, an upset, but you can trace it back. It's going to be maybe a little less obvious. Or a little less surprise, I should say, if Cumberbatch comes back to win Best Actor. Now, once we get to BAFTA, again, that's when that might look a little more like, oh, okay, maybe now we're calling the upset, and then we'll see where it goes from there at the Oscars. But yeah, in Best Actress, again, this is going to be tight, and it's like, boy, Olivia Coleman, Jessica Chastain, Nicole Kidman, I think all three. It probably does come down to these three. I don't see Lady Gaga or Jennifer Hudson coming back to win here. So, boy, I thought about this too, and I actually someone pointed out, and it's true, I look back at it, if you actually look back to Nicole Kidman and her wins here at SAG, she has actually only won in the really just in general at SAG. She's only got one win, and that's in on the TV side for Big Little Lies. She lost for The Hours. She was nominated more so here than any other place, like Rabbit Hole and The Paperboy she got in for. She was part of the ensemble in 9. Bombshell she got in for here a few years ago. So it's like, yeah, she's, I'm going to count them up here. Is that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15? This is her 15th Screen Actors Guild nomination, including the ensemble work. So, and individually, I think this is her, for film, 7th nomination? 6th or 7th, if I'm counting right. I don't know, I'm going to count them again. Okay, The Hours, Rabbit Hole, The Paperboy, Lion, Bombshell, then Being the Crowd. Okay, that's 6. All right. So, yeah. And that's just individual nominations. She was in the ensemble for The Hours and Moulin Rouge, and I think there was one more I saw. Oh, Bombshell. So, yeah. So with this one, I looked at that too. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, she lost it. By the way, Renee Zellweger won here over her for her performance in Chicago for Best Actress. So, I don't know. I haven't looked at the TV side, so I don't know if Jessica Chastain is like primed to win Best Actress on the TV side for drama. But that could be a spot where they actually, you know what, they kind of split the vote a little bit and they say, let's give it to her for this, so that way she does win something for sure. Because obviously, both Being the Ricardos and Eyes of Tammy Faye are both not in ensemble, so this is their only chance to win. So, yeah, and then you got the Olivia Coleman part of it too, because The Lost Daughter I think did come back, and even though it, because I think most people were expecting to only get the pair of nominations for Best Actress and Adapted Screenplay at the Oscars, but the fact that it got Jessie Buckley in, I think some people might go back to that film now and start watching it. So, similar to her film last year, The Father, where it was like, oh, okay, that might be one of the latecomers. I don't know if that's necessarily going to bring the same result where Olivia Coleman all of a sudden wins Oscar number 2, even though, yeah, she is relatively actually in a nice sweet spot where some of these actresses do win their second Oscar. Because this will be only 4 years after The Favorite, or within, her second one within 4 years. So, okay, and that's possible. But, and I think if it's going to happen, though, I think SAG is definitely going to be a big bellwether of that, because she's not nominated at BAFTA. None of them are. The other thing, too, is it's been pointed out, and part of the reason I've gone with her, at least early on for a couple of races here and there, is that she's never won an individual category here at SAG. She's won a couple ensemble prizes on the TV side, I believe. But she's never won an individual SAG award. So I don't know if this is the one, though. I just think the competition is pretty fierce here, but I think I'm ranking her third. I have Chastain and I have Nicole Kidman ahead of her. And yeah, as much as Jessica Chastain made sense, and the last time I talked about it, I was like on board with Jessica Chastain winning the Oscar, I gotta say, at least in this field, I gotta give the edge to Nicole Kidman, though. So I'm gonna give her the win here at SAG. Now, and it's weird because I think there's a scenario where Nicole Kidman can win SAG, but then lose the Oscar to either Coleman or to Chastain. Potentially Chastain, if there's just this kind of a campaign that starts up where it's like, hey, she's been nominated this her third time. We love this actress. She should have been nominated. This should be her 5th or 6th nomination by now if you count some of her earlier work. We're really, behind the film. It's nominated in makeup. Obviously, Being the Ricardos and Lost Daughter do have nominations elsewhere. That's true. But if there's an kind of uprising in that, where it's like, hey, this is Jessica Chastain's award here, I can see that kind of starting up late and she can win. Obviously, it would help if they had whoever was going to win BAFTA was going to carry over, but they can't. So if Chastain by happenstance did win BAFTA, okay, then then it would make sense. Then you can almost see that one carry over. But obviously, we're not going to have that. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if Nicole does win this. I don't think it's a slam dunk that she repeats at the Oscars. I think it definitely puts her in the front runner position, but it's a weak front runner position. You can definitely, again, you can see the argument again, like I just made for Olivia Coleman, where it's like she's in the kind of honeymoon period, like has been mentioned. It's kind of a lot of people talk about that kind of phrase and stuff. She has gotten in a film here that some people have gotten too late, and I think people have generally really liked. It's definitely one, when I watched it, I was not lukewarm on it, but I enjoyed it. I liked it. I don't know if I necessarily was jumping out of my seat about it like I need to see it again. But as time has gone on, I think back to a couple parts of that film, and I'm like, it was definitely, an interesting film. And definitely, and it's one that I'm like, you know what, I think probably in a year, maybe not a year, maybe less than a year, maybe in a few months, I might go back to that one and watch it again just to see how it holds up or if it improves or, kind of how it goes there. So, I don't know. If it's one that sticks in their minds, again, even if it's not a big bombastic performance, big one there, in the way that Chastain and Kidman both have a little bit more, Kidman's less so. Chastain, I feel like, kind of has some of the bigger, because she's got the singing scenes and a couple kind of yelling scenes and the accent and stuff. Kidman does put on something of an accent playing Lucille Ball. She's got not a bunch of like shouting, scenes or whatever, but she's got the Sorkin dialogue and stuff. So it feels like it's a very more talkative performance. Coleman's is very much more insular, very much so a quieter performance. So it could just be one where it's like, wow, that one might just stick out to some of the voters, and we'll see. And don't forget, when we do get to the Academy Awards, that voting group has been getting, again, more and more international. So some of those voters, again, come from Europe. And right now, it's like, I don't know, that could favor somebody like Olivia in that contest. So, yeah, for this part, for SAG, I'm going to say Nicole Kidman. And it's going to be whoever it is. I think we have to almost by default put them ahead at the Oscars. If it's Chastain, real quick before we get to Best Actor, I was going to switch, but I'll go through a quick scenario here. What happens if A wins? What happens at the Oscars? So Nicole Kidman, I think I'm going to stick with what I said there. If Kidman wins here, I'll keep her, or I don't have her ahead. I have Chastain ahead right now. I'll bump her up to first, as most likely to win. But I'm gonna really start looking at, okay, who can take her down, because it's definitely a spot where you're like, okay, I can see her losing. And then of course Critics' Choice. Critics' Choice eventually I think is gonna be potentially one to look out for there. And I don't, off the top of my head, The Lost Daughter has the best critical reception of these three films. Eyes of Tammy Faye and Being the Ricardos are both in like the 50 to 60 range. They're on Rotten Tomatoes, just, by that comparison. I think Lost Daughter, last I checked, was like 94, 95, like, pretty good gap there, percentage-wise. But I don't know. I don't know where Critics' Choice is going to go right now. I can see an argument obviously for all three, but I can see an argument where it's like, okay, probably Olivia Coleman, not just to go by the numbers, based on which one they like best, but I can just see Olivia Coleman with a quieter performance, that be one that sticks out to him. I don't know. Okay, so yeah, that's if Chastain wins at SAG, I think if she wins at SAG, arguably other than Olivia Coleman, I think that puts her, keeps her out front for the Oscar, and I think that's when it's like, okay, that starts to look more real. That starts to look more solid. Not to say it's impossible for Kidman or for Coleman to overtake her and win the Oscar out from, take it out from under her, but I think Chastain, especially with that makeup category, that's the one where I'm like, okay, if that carries, if she wins here, that has, I think, the largest possibility of carrying over. And then with Olivia Coleman, I think the only way she could be as strong is if she wins here and at Critics' Choice. And then I can see, okay, then I can just see that one holding up there. If she wins here but loses Critics' Choice, oh boy, then it's like, I don't know what to do then. That's when I'm like, okay, I might go with whoever did not win here. Whoever, if it's okay, let's say, yeah, just for argument's sake here, if Coleman wins SAG, loses Critics' Choice to Jessica Chastain, I might just put Nicole Kidman at the Oscars. I don't know if Kidman wins or Coleman wins here, and it's Kidman who wins at Critics' Choice. Maybe Chastain. I don't know. It's like, it's weird. I think it's just gonna be a weird race, like we had last year. Where it was like very much a split field where it's like, okay, everybody is winning. You know, somebody is winning. Somebody different is winning every award, and we have a possibility for that to happen because Kidman has won the Globe. We know somebody different is going to win BAFTA, so it's up to SAG and Critics' Choice to split it potentially between Jessica Chastain and Olivia Coleman if we're going to repeat what we had last year. But obviously, if we go by that, then we're totally screwed because last year the BAFTA winner, Frances McDormand, went on to win the Oscar, and we know again that's not going to happen with the BAFTA winner this year. So yeah, all the scenarios are flying through my head, but right now, at least for SAG, I'm going to say Nicole Kidman, and we'll go from there, and we'll see what happens. And we'll see also, I think the speech is going to be important for who wins there. And if they really just, I mean, it's hard to say because Glenn Close had a really damn good acceptance speech, both at SAG and the Globes, the year of the wife, and she couldn't carry through. Michael Keaton, I thought, had a spectacular speech at the Globes when he won for comedy musical actor for Birdman, but Eddie Redmayne later took over, you know. So, or even, I don't know if it's necessarily the same caliber there, but like even Christian Bale, I think, had some memorable speeches at, or memorable, because he lost the Globe, did he not? I can't remember if he won the Globe or not that year. Jeez, I can't remember. Who would that have been? It wasn't Vigo. It had to have been Christian Bale then, right? Okay. I just remember at Critics' Choice, he was thanking Satan for helping him portray Dick Cheney or something. I'm like, okay, that stuck out to me, you know, and stuff. But obviously that did not carry over. We had Rami Malek take over from there. But still, I don't know. The speech thing, I don't know if that's going to, you know, put anybody over any more so than just a win would. I don't know if that's going to push anything, you know, plus or minus by any means. Let's see. So best actor, I think Will Smith is, I'm not going to say slam dunk, and I'm not going to say, you know, by a slim margin. I think he's somewhere in the middle where it's like he's in a good spot as the front runner. He feels like he's ahead enough, but he's not like an Ariana DeBose where it's like, okay, it almost feels like a done deal. Not to say that that's a bad thing, obviously, but with this, I think, yeah, there's definitely, you know, I think Andrew Garfield and Benedict Cumberbatch, I think, are both going to get some votes here. Obviously, Bardem and Washington will get votes too, but I think because some people are thinking Andrew Garfield could upset here, which is going to be strange because he's not nominated at BAFTA, so we won't see him again other than Critics' Choice. We won't see him again until the Oscars for that. And Cumberbatch seems to be the favorite to win at BAFTA, so it'd be weird if Garfield won over both of them and then is not there at BAFTA, you know, is nominated at Critics' Choice, but again, probably not going to win. I don't know, I think he'd be third place there. I can see Cumberbatch and Smith kind of duking it out at Critics' Choice. Smith, probably, I have him out front to win there as well, but Cumberbatch I can see siphoning off more votes there. With SAG, which is a little more populist and stuff, and obviously, you know, the only one of these that's in ensemble is King Richard, which I think will benefit Will Smith as well. I don't know. Garfield almost does feel like that weird one that kind of sticks out that might win. But but I think Will Smith, you know, actually going back to the Bohemian Rhapsody example, that was the one in ensemble that year over Vigo in Green Book and over Christian Bale in Vice. Both of them were missing that ensemble kind of safety net under them. That showed how much support their film had. King Richard is, you know, I don't know if I want to say, you know, a good comparison to Bohemian Rhapsody in that way, where it's like, okay, it feels like it's one that has come through when some people were kind of doubting it and stuff, and it's landed almost everywhere it can for a lot of the top prizes and stuff, and key nominations across the board. Which is weird because, again, it missed Ingenue Ellis here, which is kind of strange. But yeah, I think this is the one for Will Smith here. Okay, then we have ensemble. And this is the only category I switched in, but I am not confident at all in this switch, and I'm going with a weird theory here. Funny enough, because I had Belfast to win here, I now have it in 4th place. I dropped it considerably. I just have, I'm thinking the last time we had a weird ensemble winner here in a race that was similar to this, and I go back and I'm like, it's the 2016 year. Because that year, La La Land was front runner, just all the way, almost from the start, everybody had it picked. Now, it's not quite that way this year, because I think Belfast was definitely, running really, really close with Power of the Dog, if it wasn't, Power of the Dog's outright from the start. I think Power of the Dog, though, is almost in that La La Land status right now, where it's like it got all the nominations it needed. In some areas, it almost arguably overperformed. Though La La Land, I think with 14, I think almost everybody almost everybody had it at 12 at least. Some people were doubting it would get 2 song nominations. Some people didn't like it getting into sound editing. A few weird people thought Ryan Gosling was going to miss. But for the most part, that one showed up everywhere it was expected to. Power of the Dog, on the other hand, like The Revenant and like Roma, as we made that comparison, a couple of those comparisons last time, did show up as the most nominated film, and because of some unexpected categories, like sound and production design this year for Power of the Dog. So, like La La Land, it's missing that ensemble nomination. So, that year, the winner was a film, Hidden Figures, which it felt like, okay, if it's not going to be La La Land there, it felt like that was prime opportunity for Moonlight to come up and win. Which this year it feels like, okay, well, without our frontrunner, Belfast, I think, arguably is in 2nd place for Best Picture. Arguably, though some people are going to argue, a couple other films, a spattering of, votes for maybe King Richard is in 2nd place. Or, what's the one... Boy, I'm trying to think. There was something else I was thinking of that some people are saying is in 2nd place, but I can't think of what it is. I don't know. Doesn't matter. It's not here at SAG, I don't think. But anyways. So it felt like, yeah, that was a prime place for Moonlight to win. But it didn't. It went to Hidden Figures. And it was weird because Moonlight, I think, arguably performed, again, about as well as we were thinking at the Oscars, maybe plus or minus a category. And Hidden Figures, though, I think almost everybody that year for Oscar nominations had it at 3. An acting nomination for Octavia Spencer, screenplay, and picture. Nobody really was that confident in it getting director or any other acting support, and the tech categories were going to be a little tough. Originally, something like score or like a song or something, okay, possibly, but I think they were disqualified or something. So, anyways. So, with that... There's actually a couple films that Oscar morning performed about as well as we thought they would, and they're both here at SAG, and they both kind of feel like they could be a potential Hidden Figures type win here. And it's and some people will say, okay, well that one should be King Richard, right? But no, it's like King Richard felt like one that maybe overperformed by most estimates Oscar morning. It actually underperformed by my estimate, but I was high on King Richard. I had it getting 7 nominations, but it still 6 was a great show for it, and I was certainly glad that it did get that editing nomination, which is a pretty key nomination there. So that all being said, I actually don't think it's King Richard as one of those two. I have it in 3rd place. I have Don't Look Up and Coda as the 2 potentially to win here. I think those are the 2 I would go with first for who I predict to win here. It's weird because Hidden Figures, like Don't Look Up, has that bigger ensemble. It feels like it's a film that kind of was popular, gained popularity, kind of toward the end of the season. They both released in December. Hidden Figures more pop so in like January, right before, not too long before the SAG ceremony and the SAG voting began for the winners at least. Don't Look Up, even though it doesn't have the box office numbers to prove it, it has been one of the most talked about, viewed films on Netflix, according to all the reports. I don't know if it's Nielsen or whoever releases those, but it's like it's right up there with one of their biggest releases ever, and it is without a doubt the biggest ensemble in this category. I think it's I looked at the numbers there. It's like 3 times the size of the next biggest cast, which I think is actually King Richard. King Richard, Belfast both have like 6 or 7 people in there. So Don't Look Up is like, what was it? We counted that morning. It was like 14 or 15, or the day of, I should say. I wasn't there in the morning. But there's like 14 or 15 names on there, which is double those other films. Or if you combine the casts of King Richard and Belfast, there you go. That's just the ensemble of just one film in Don't Look Up. So, correct me if I'm wrong, was Hidden Figures the biggest cast that year as well? I thought it was. If it wasn't biggest cast, it was definitely one of the biggest casts. Now, obviously, there was a little more as far as like ethnicity and stuff, a little more diversity with Hidden Figures. That's true. Don't Look Up is like, yeah, you got Rob Morin, you got Ariana Grande does. She has some roots in like Latin, right? I don't know. I'm not a big. I'm not an expert by that, but it's like, okay, yeah, you got a couple to make it not just an all white cast or whatever. But it's like, yeah, it's still a big ensemble. Tyler Perry's in there too. That's right, Tyler Perry's in there. Yeah. Am I forgetting anybody else who's like not like just straight up like white? I don't know. Anyways, but it's like, I don't know. That one feels like also. It should be also mentioned though that the only one that's not a Best Picture nominee is House of Gucci here, but no. I think something with Don't Look Up, I don't know. It just feels also like, okay, Coda, kind of a more serious movie. King Richard, pretty serious movie. Belfast, okay, a couple laugh moments here and there. And sure, King Richard does have a couple chuckle moments here and there. Coda actually I should mention, a couple of really big laughs. But Don't Look Up is a pretty out-and-out comedy, again, with a couple of exceptions here and there. So, I feel like that one, in some ways, could stick out to the voters, and it could be like, okay, well, it's definitely, and some people have made this comparison. A couple of the Gold Derby guys always make this comparison. It's like the apple in the barrel of oranges, or the orange in the barrel of apples, whatever. It's the one that sticks out, the one that's like, oh, that's unlike the others, and it's in that way. So Don't Look Up definitely feels that way. And actually, they did have a couple of the people made a video there, and they actually, some of them did pick Don't Look Up, or one or two of them did. And I'm like, ooh, you know what? As soon as they said that, I'm like, oh my God. It all clicked for me as they were making the arguments. I'm like, well, shit, that makes a lot of fucking sense. I'm like, wow. They might, it's whoever the newest guy there at Gold Derby, one of the editors there. I'm like, he's got a couple great points. So I'm not stealing that one. I'm not putting it out to win, but I bumped that one up because I had it in like third or fourth. I'm like, you know what? That one could just win. That one could just, could just do it. Plus, if we look at it here, where is Netflix going to win? Supporting actress? No. Stunt Ensemble? I don't think they even have a nominee there, do they? No, they do not. Supporting actor? They don't even have a nominee. Let's see here. Other than Cody Smith McPhee. I keep forgetting that one is Netflix. I feel like that one was like a Searchlight or something, but no, that one is Netflix. So yeah, they will have a win there. Forgive me, but no, for ensemble though, this was their only one to get in, despite having Power of the Dog, despite having I was gonna say Guns Go Bang, but no. Oh my God, how am I forgetting the name of the film now? Jiminy Christmas. Harder They Fall. Despite having that, which I thought was a shoo-in. Obviously, it's totally fallen off the map here. But I'm still going to say, yeah, that's one of my favorites this year. So I'm going to remember it, even if these award shows passed on it and they were wrong. They have the right to be wrong. I'm going to say that. But anyways, with this one, though, yeah, I don't know. It just feels like one of those things that can happen. So if we're going on that train of thought, even though it is a smaller ensemble, even though it feels like just with 2 nominations, it probably doesn't feel like an outright winner, I'm going Coda. I'm going Coda here in maybe a mini upset, because I don't think Troy's going to win. If he does win, it'll be a great upset, and it'll be a great spot for that film for sure. And I think he could definitely start the train there, and all of a sudden he can win BAFTA, he can win Critics' Choice, which he might just, I doubt it, but there's a weird scenario where I think even if Cody wins here, there's a small, very small off chance that Troy could come back and win Critics' Choice. I would put it on about the same level as actually the Year of Green Book when Mahershala started taking off. I'm like, Well, Critics' Choice, that could be one last place where maybe Richard E. Grant could win. It feels like it's kind of in that ballpark there. Obviously, Mahershala just won the whole thing that year. Even though for me personally, Richard E. Grant was so damn good. I don't know. I don't know. That's a tough one because Mahershala is just so good too in Green Book. I don't know. Maybe the fact that he had just won a couple years earlier, just kind of in retrospect, maybe say, yeah, we just saw him do a great performance there too. Even though it was limited screen time, and I don't know if I would have necessarily voted for him to win in Moonlight. I think something like his role and his performance there in Green Book, I think was obviously a lot more screen time, probably double or triple the screen time that he had in Moonlight. But it's also he had a little bit more of the traditional like range of emotion there. Where he's kind of the quieter, more subdued one, but then he's also got a couple yelling in the rain type scenes there for that. But anyways, back to this one. Coda though, I think, where I'm kind of leaning on more of the Hidden Figures kind of comparison there. Hidden Figures performed like we thought it would. Coda, even though I thought Marlee Matlin was going to get in, generally it got what everybody was expecting with 3. So, yeah, it's weird because it's a kind of insular cast, feels very tight, very secure, very very much so in that way. I just have a feeling on this one. I could be dead wrong, and this one could be like in 4th. Actually, in the vote totals, could be in like 4th or 5th place or something weird. Obviously, we're never going to know. And it could be Belfast. And I think Belfast, even though I have it down in 4th, I'm not saying it's impossible for that one to win. No, in fact, it is the front runner here according to Gold Derby. But I don't know. I just get the feeling that it's going to be a weird spot for Belfast to win here. And then for Power of the Dog, likely to win the other 2 guilds for like Producers Guild and Directors Guild. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know. So yeah, I'm going Coda here. And yeah, and King Richard, it could be one of those, okay, it got the actor win, but it could also win for ensemble and pull, 2 wins there. I don't know. It's also, that one's a little more obviously more African American heavy cast, and it's really the only one in the list this year that is African American heavy cast. And again, as we like to say, SAG does like to get representation in there. So Black Panther, Hidden Figures. I thought there was one other example, but I'm missing it. If you want to go actually with Asian or Asian American representation, I think it was all just Asian. It was Parasite. So sometimes, they will, in that ensemble category, they'll go with that. It doesn't, again, not every time, but the fact that King Richard is the most, African-American dominant cast, or black heavy cast, whatever, the ethnicities come down to, whether or not they're actually American or not, a couple of them could be just, from Africa or from Europe or whatever. I haven't looked up the cast's, backgrounds by any means, but that could be one that just sticks out in that way too to the voters. So it's a really up in the air type category, and I can definitely see a strong argument for all of them. Belfast, again, as we mentioned, feels very tight knit as well. Basically, the ensemble is a family in the film, like they play a family, and there's not a ton of outside characters on top of it. And it does, it's got a couple kids in it, and they traditionally, at least with the nominations, they like those kids in the cast, type ensembles there. They don't always win though. Jojo Rabbit didn't win. Beast of No Nation didn't win. Room didn't even get nominated for ensemble, even though that had a child actor in it. I don't know. I'm just thinking of some of the more recent examples, but yeah. So it's a tough one for this ensemble category. Kind of like we were talking here, because ensemble last year, I don't know if I was alone in picking Chicago 7, but I just had such a strong feeling from the start of the season. I'm like, whatever goes on, and even though Minari for me kind of took off, and I felt like, oh, that one could easily win SAG. I don't know if I ever put it ahead of Chicago 7. Actually, now I don't know. I'll have to look back and think on it, see what I did, But no, almost again, I had almost like a gut feeling from the beginning. I'm like, that's winning on ensemble at SAG. I don't know what else is going to happen the rest of the season, if it's a Best Picture front runner or not, but that's probably winning ensemble at SAG. I think the 2019 year, the Parasite year, when that won, I was really not sure that year. I think I went with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I believe, for ensemble. but it was like, yeah, you could see, like, The Irishman I'm sure got a few votes. Parasite, I was like, yeah, that one. I can't remember if I don't know how down I was with that one possibly winning that night, but I don't know. I'll have to look back. But 2018, that's probably the next comparison I would make here. That year for Ensemble, nobody was sure. Nobody went into the night like, oh, it's going to be this one. Like Star is Born was up there. Crazy Rich Asians, some people thought would actually win. Black Panther, there were some people backing it for sure. Black Klansman, even some people thought could win. Bohemian Rhapsody had just come off a win at the Globe, so some people were like, oh, maybe that one. So it was like you could make an argument for all 5 that year. This year, 4 out of the 5, I can make a really solid stand on it kind of argument. So, yeah, that's a really tough category. But Coda, I don't know, just a weird kind of feeling I have on that one. All right, but otherwise, I think most everybody kind of, I don't know, I think they'll feel good with these winners for the most part, if I'm correct on them. If I go 6 for 6, which I don't think has ever happened here at SAG. Because there's almost always 1 or 2 in there. So I'm like, okay, well, if they go, by the, tracks here at least, okay, then they get to Ensemble, then we can get something a little, that mixes it up a little bit. We'll see.